Gianni, why did you write your book? Could you just tell me? Why did you...
I don't write. It's just a picture book. I have fun doing it.
Why do you call it Men Without Ties?
Why I like freedom. I like indulgence, individuality. Things don't constrict you to wear.
And you're pleased to do it for the Alpha and AIDS Foundation?
Absolutely. All the proceeds of the book going to AIDS benefit.
Gianni?
In the pantheon of fashion royalty, few names command the reverence and instant recognition of Versace. You see, the brand defines maximalist luxury itself. Bold baroque patterns, blinding golds, and that hypnotic Medusa emblem that transformed Italian craftsmanship into global desire. And for decades, Versace has dressed everyone from rock stars to actual royalty, creating cultural moments that transcend mere clothing to become zeitgeist-defining statements. Yet, behind this multi-billion-dollar empire stands a family whose meteoric rise, devastating fall, and phoenix-like resurrection rivals anything in Greek mythology, including the tale emblazoned on their emblem herself. In today's episode of Old Money Luxury, we'll take you through a muse's miracle, how, from the blood-stained steps of a Miami mansion, this indomitable family managed to resurrect not just a fashion house, but a global legend, proving that some legacies are simply too powerful for even tragedy to erase, as we describe. The Versace family: couture, crime, and cash.
What are you most excited about in life right now?
Well, the next Met Gala.
As of 2025, the Versace family sits atop fashion's Mount Olympus, with a staggering combined fortune of $1.9 billion. This isn't just wealth, it's dynasty-building financial power that transforms passing whims into industry-defining movements. The distribution of this colossal sum tells a story more captivating than any runway show could hope to deliver. Donatella Versace, the platinum-haired creative force who has steered the brand through nearly 3 decades of fashion's choppy waters, commands a personal fortune of $400 million. Her elder brother Santo, the business mastermind who kept the company's ledgers in the black while creative geniuses dreamed in color, boasts a net worth of approximately $600 million. Yet it's young Allegra Versace, Donatella's daughter and Gianni's niece, who holds the family's largest share, a jaw-dropping $900 million that landed in her lap due to a tragedy that shocked the world. The Versace financial empire stands shoulder to shoulder with fashion's most elite dynasties. Their wealth extends far beyond the catwalk, with the eponymous fashion house founded in 1978 serving as merely the cornerstone of their commercial kingdom. The Versace aesthetic, bold, provocative, and unapologetically luxurious, transformed from clothing into a lifestyle empire encompassing everything from porcelain to palatial homes. When Michael Kors, now Capri Holdings, acquired the fashion house in 2018 for a cool $2.12 billion, the family's liquid assets exploded while they cleverly maintained creative influence within the brand they built. Versace Home, launched in 1992, evolved into a comprehensive collection that brought the family's distinctive vision into the living spaces of the global elite. Their venture into luxury real estate produced 8 exclusive villas in Marbella, Spain, each commanding a price tag of approximately 10 million euros. Donatella's personal property portfolio reads like a global treasure map, from the breathtaking 50-room Villa Mondadori overlooking Lake Maggiore to the historic Villa La Fontanelle on Lake Como, valued at 52 million euros. Her automotive collection includes a custom-ordered Rolls-Royce Phantom with paint that took craftsmen 3 months to perfect, a rare Lamborghini Aventador SVJ Roadster, and a Bentley Continental GT in azure blue that matches the Miami skyline. The skies and seas haven't escaped the Versace touch either. Donatella's customized Gulfstream G650, valued at 65 million euros, features cabin bulkheads silk-screened with Versace prints, because heaven forbid she should fly in an aircraft without the family logo. The family's 150-foot custom yacht, El Medusa, worth 42 million euros, represents the pinnacle of their lifestyle, a floating palace with an infinity pool that seems to merge with the Mediterranean itself. This empire of extraordinary wealth stands as one of fashion's greatest success stories. The billions they've amassed have funded not just opulent lifestyles, but also cemented a legacy that continues to influence global fashion, design, and culture. But behind the awe-inspiring appearance, limitless luxury, lies a sobering truth that forever altered the trajectory of the Versace fortune. For all their palatial homes and custom vehicles, their billions exist in their current form partially because of a single, horrific moment that unfolded on the steps of a Miami mansion one fateful July morning in 1997. But in order to properly tell that tale, we'll have to start at the beginning.
Fashion was a family business for Versace because he was immersed into it from his childhood.
In the ancient coastal city of Reggio Calabria, at the very toe of Italy's boot, Gianni Versace drew his first breath on December 2nd, 1946. The Versace surname itself carries competing origin stories, perhaps from the Greek Barsakis, a nod to the region's Magna Graecia heritage, or possibly from a street in nearby San Procopio where ancestors once dwelled. This southern Italian birthplace, with its persistent whispers of Greek antiquity, would later infuse the designer's aesthetic with classical motifs that became his signature. His father, Antonio, was a humble coal merchant, a man of practical concerns and earthbound commerce who could never have imagined his son's future ascent into the stratosphere of international glamour. His mother, Francesca, however, possessed the golden thread that would weave destiny, a talented seamstress who transformed limited resources into an atelier that employed a dozen women and clothed the local elite. Young Gianni did not play with toys like other children. Instead, he played with fabric scraps, pins, and the symphony of clicking scissors that filled his mother's workshop. By the tender age of 10, he had designed his first dress, his small hands mimicking the measured movements he had observed countless times at his mother's side. School proved a battlefield where Gianni suffered humiliating defeats, his grades so abysmal that teachers threatened expulsion during one particularly grim parent-teacher conference. What these educators failed to recognize was that their supposedly failing student possessed a visual intelligence that transcended their narrow metrics of academic success. While mathematics eluded him, the mathematics of the human form, proportion, symmetry, contrast, spoke to him in a language as clear as his native Italian. One pivotal moment crystallized his innate commercial instinct. Tasked by his mother to purchase inventory for her boutique, he returned with pieces so scandalously revealing she was certain they would languish, unsold and unwanted. To her astonishment, these daring designs vanished from racks faster than conventional clothing, a market response that confirmed what Francesca Versace began to suspect. Her son possessed not just creativity, but visionary insight. By his early 20s, Gianni could feel Reggio Calabria constricting around him like an ill-fitted suit, the provincial city insufficient to contain his expanding ambitions. Milan beckoned, Italy's northern fashion capital where dreams were cut, sewn, and paraded down runways to international acclaim. There, he began as a freelance designer, his talent quickening the pulse of prestigious fashion houses like Jenny, who recognized in this southern Italian something raw and revelatory. By 25, his bold, innovative approach had become his calling card, earning him coveted assignments for labels like Callahan and Complice. Yet for all his success designing under others' banners, Gianni increasingly chafed at creative constraints that weren't of his own making. The late 1970s arrived with Gianni at a crossroads, his reputation established, but his true vision still unrealized. He had built a name, but yearned to build an empire. In this pivotal moment, he turned not to fashion industry insiders, but to blood. His elder brother Santo, with his head for business, and younger sister Donatella, whose fierce creative judgment mirrored his own. Together, this triumvirate of siblings launched Gianni's first ready-to-wear collection, a sartorial declaration of independence that Milan received with shocked admiration. Unlike anything that had come before, His designs spoke a new language of confidence, sensuality, and fearless self-expression. The industry christened him the Milanese master of fashion, but such a claim merely served as prologue to a story that would redefine luxury itself, as Gianni Versace transformed his surname into something that transcended mere identity. It became desire itself. The iconic Medusa head that adorns every Versace creation wasn't merely decorative. It was autobiographical, a symbol Gianni chose because the mythological figure made people fall in love with her, unable to look away. By the late 1980s, his works revealed a deep obsession with Greco-Roman aesthetics, reimagined through a lens of contemporary boldness that felt simultaneously ancient and revolutionary. While designers like Armani crafted understated elegance, Gianni blazed a trail of audacious maximalism, baroque patterns, blinding colors, and cuts that celebrated rather than concealed the human form. Fashion critics coined the now legendary distinction: Armani dresses the wife, Versace dresses the mistress, a backhanded compliment that Gianni embraced with characteristic defiance. By the early 1990s, the House of Versace had transformed from ambitious upstart to global phenomenon, with 130 boutiques spanning continents and revenues exceeding $800 million. Michael Jackson commissioned custom stage costumes, Elton John filled entire rooms with Versace pieces, and Princess Diana abandoned royal conservatism for Gianni's form-fitting dresses that forever changed her public image. His runway shows transcended mere commerce to become cultural events, with front rows so exclusive that Hollywood A-listers found themselves relegated to second-row seats, a public demotion that destroyed social standing overnight.
Versace's relationship with Antonio D'Amico was the longest lasting of his life. D'Amico was involved in the fashion industry. He was a model originally, and then he became involved in the Versace house in various forms. But really the most important thing for Versace was that he had a partner, was that he had someone that was secure and somebody that he could indulge.
His masterstroke came when he elevated a cadre of models: Naomi Campbell, Cindy Crawford, Claudia Schiffer, and Christy Turlington. From anonymous mannequins to supermodels, a term he helped popularize and a concept that forever altered the fashion industry's power dynamics. These women commanded $25,000 for 30 seconds of runway walking, unprecedented fees that reflected Gianni's understanding that personality sold clothing more effectively than anonymity ever could. Amid the empire building and celebrity crafting, Gianni found something increasingly rare in his stratospheric social circle: authentic love with Antonio D'Amico, a model whose striking looks matched the designer's own Mediterranean features. Their relationship flourished despite the era's pervasive homophobia, with Gianni refusing to hide his sexuality even as it complicated business relationships in more conservative markets. The bond between the designer and his model-turned-partner faced its greatest challenge not from external prejudice, but internal family dynamics, particularly with sister Donatella, whose fierce protectiveness of her brother sometimes manifested as jealousy toward Antonio.
That goes into the gowns into his legendary mansion, a palace in Miami. It's a massive opulent estate, and it's been turned into one of the...
By 1991, exhausted from managing both global expansion and family tensions, Gianni sought sanctuary in Miami's South Beach, purchasing a Mediterranean revival mansion for $3 million, a relative bargain that he would transform into a $33 million palace. This Casa Casuarina became the physical embodiment of Versace excess. 50 rooms of mosaic-tiled opulence where the designer hosted Madonna, Princess Diana, and Elton John for weekends of sun-soaked indulgence. The Miami mansion's 10,000-square-foot extension required the demolition of the Art Deco Revere Hotel next door, a controversial move that earned both criticism from preservationists and reluctant admiration for the resulting architectural spectacle. Inside these gilded walls, Gianni entertained with legendary parties where Hollywood royalty mingled with fashion icons under the watchful gaze of his beloved Medusa emblems, embedded in every conceivable surface. By the mid-90s, his achievements seemed limitless. He had revolutionized fashion marketing, redefined sensuality in clothing, and built a business generating nearly $1 billion annually. His theatrical genius expanded beyond runways to actual theaters, with Gianni designing costumes for ballet and opera productions at La Scala and becoming the first fashion designer invited to show his creations at the Louvre. The Versace aesthetic had so thoroughly penetrated global consciousness that even those who couldn't afford his clothing recognized his distinctive visual language, a commercial triumph few designers achieve in their lifetime. On sweltering summer mornings, despite his extraordinary wealth, Gianni maintained the humble ritual of walking to a nearby cafe to collect his own newspapers, a vulnerable routine observed by many, including a troubled young man named Andrew Cunanan.
Andrew at Bishop's, I remember hearing his laugh, and we immediately hit it off. He was really kind of a card.
He was determined that his classmates who came from rich families wouldn't know how...
Andrew Cunanan was born with a silver tongue rather than a silver spoon, a masterful fabricator who could conjure wealth and status from thin air. Raised in California and educated at an exclusive private school, he learned early that the appearance of success mattered more than success itself. By 19, he had abandoned college and embraced life as an openly gay man, a decision his religious mother never accepted and which culminated in a violent confrontation where he slammed her against a wall, injuring her shoulder. His father's simultaneous flight to the Philippines to escape financial fraud charges completed the collapse of Cunanan's family structure, pushing him towards San Francisco's Castro district, where he sought both community and opportunity. There, he perfected a particular talent, cultivating relationships with wealthy older men who bankrolled his increasingly extravagant lifestyle. One particularly generous benefactor provided $2,000 monthly, a luxury vehicle, and lavish international vacations, temporarily transforming Andrew from pretender into the person he had always claimed to be. When these relationships dissolved and his artificial world crumbled, something inside Andrew Cunanan fractured permanently.
Jeffrey trails body up in a rug and pushes it unceremoniously behind a sofa, as if no one would find it.
Some spree killers who are killing in a state of frenzy aren't interested in.
A killing spree began in Minneapolis with ex-lover David Madsen and former friend Jeffrey Trail, the latter bludgeoned with a hammer in a rage so overwhelming that investigators later described the scene as overkill. Cunanan then executed Madsen with a bullet to the back of the head and fled to Chicago, where he tortured and murdered 72-year-old real estate developer Lee Miglin in his own home. As a nationwide manhunt intensified, he traveled to New Jersey and killed cemetery caretaker William Reese solely to steal his pickup truck, his fourth murder in less than 2 weeks. With 4 bodies behind him and his face plastered across every American newspaper, Cunanan disappeared into Miami's vibrant South Beach scene, somehow evading capture despite being on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. Meanwhile, on the morning of July 15, 1997, Gianni Versace followed his usual ritual, a short walk from his Ocean Drive mansion to purchase newspapers at a nearby cafe. Versace had recently received devastating health news, a diagnosis of inner ear cancer alongside his private battle with HIV. But on this brilliant summer morning, death would come from an entirely unexpected direction. As the designer climbed the steps to his palatial home, 2 gunshots shattered the morning calm. Versace collapsed, his blood pooling on the coral-colored steps of the mansion he had transformed into a monument to his aesthetic vision. The assailant, immediately identified by witnesses as Andrew Cunanan, melted into the bustling tourist district as sirens wailed toward Casa Casuarina. Antonio D'Amico, hearing the shots from inside, rushed out to find his partner of 15 years sprawled on the steps, a sight so traumatic he would later say, "I saw Gianni lying on the steps with blood around him." At that point, everything went dark. Emergency responders transported the gravely wounded designer to Jackson Memorial Hospital, but the damage was catastrophic. Versace was pronounced dead at 9:34 that morning. News of the murder detonated across global media with unprecedented force. Fashion's most flamboyant visionary cut down in broad daylight outside his own home. As the Versace family reeled from unimaginable grief, all eyes turned to a shell-shocked Donatella, who now faced the impossible task of preserving her brother's billion-dollar legacy while barely able to comprehend that he was gone.
Extraordinary talent of Gianni, and could you ever see bringing in somebody else to work with you?
Well, to be compared to Gianni was not only tough, it destroyed me, because Gianni was the king, Gianni was Gianni.
Thrust into fashion's most unforgiving spotlight, with hands still trembling from grief, Donatella Versace inherited not just a billion-dollar empire, but the impossible expectation to become her murdered brother overnight. The industry's vultures circled immediately, whispering that the platinum-haired party girl who had always operated in Gianni's shadow would surely crash the family business into oblivion within months. Critics sharpened their knives for her first collection, and their initial reviews cut deep. Too derivative of Gianni, yet simultaneously not Versace enough. Behind closed doors, Donatella crumbled beneath the weight of expectations, spiraling into an 18-year cocaine addiction that nearly destroyed everything her family had built. The pressures of leadership while grieving pushed her toward chemical comfort, with only a dramatic intervention from close friend Elton John finally sending her to an Arizona rehabilitation facility in 2005. Her personal life unraveled in tandem. Her marriage to Paul Beck collapsed in 2000 amid rumors that Gianni had orchestrated their union solely to ensure heirs for the Versace dynasty. Her daughter Allegra, who at just 11 years old inherited 50% of the company through Gianni's controversial will, developed severe anorexia, adding maternal anguish to Donatella's already overwhelming burden. Yet somehow, from this crucible of seemingly insurmountable challenges, a fashion phoenix emerged. Donatella gradually infused Versace with her own provocative vision, maintaining the brand's signature sex appeal while subtly shifting its DNA from Gianni's classical influences toward a more contemporary boldness. Her masterstroke came through cultivating celebrity relationships, most notably with Jennifer Lopez, whose jungle print Versace dress at the 2000 Grammy Awards literally broke the internet before such terminology existed. The dress proved so searched for online that it directly inspired the creation of Google Images, a single fashion moment that permanently altered the digital landscape. While navigating the treacherous waters of high fashion, Donatella simultaneously steered the company through financial restructuring in the early 2000s, expanding into new markets and reviving the haute couture line through Atelier Versace. Her business acumen proved as sharp as her design instincts. By 2011, she had restored profitability to a brand many had written off after Gianni's murder. When luxury conglomerate Capri Holdings acquired Versace in 2018 for $2.12 billion, Donatella negotiated terms that ensured she retained creative control while securing the financial future of the family legacy. This past March, at 69 years old and after 27 years at the creative helm, Donatella announced her transition to Chief Brand Ambassador, passing the design torch while ensuring her influence remains embedded in the company's DNA. Her nearly three-decade odyssey transformed her from fashion's most famous grieving sister into an icon in her own right, a woman who refused to be defined by tragedy despite it forever altering the trajectory of her life. The House of Versace today stands as a symbol, not just Gianni's pioneering vision, but also of Donatella's extraordinary resilience, a business that generates nearly $1 billion annually while continuing to define luxury for new generations. With that said, we'd love to see you in the comments. What is your opinion on the Versace brand overall? And if you liked this video, be sure to check out our deep dive on the heiress to the Versace fortune, Allegra Versace, by clicking the video on screen. We'll see you there or down below, and thanks for joining us for another episode of Old Money Luxury.